Okay, welcome to the next classwork tutorial on transition pieces. This time we're looking at this classwork here, which has to deal with a transition piece that goes from a square 100 length of side to a circle with a diameter of 65. And it tells us in the information on top here that it has an axial length of 70. Axial length meaning an axis right through the centre, or if you like, a height of 70. You can see it in the bottom here. This is the solution, the development, and also the transition piece in 3D. So we're going to adopt a very similar method to how we drew the last one, in that we'll draw our square, our circle, transition the sides, rip it down one edge, and unfold it, and so on. So with that in mind, let's go to Creo, I should say. File New, and this time, of course, check Sheet Metal, and give it a file name, of course. So this one will go circle underscore square, and I might just call this number 1 because I've already got one in memory. Okay again, and we're in the sheet metal mode. I'll just turn my planes on, and as we did last time, under the shapes command, we're going to go to the blend tool. Okay, once we're in the blend tool, it's asking us for some sections. So we click on the sections tab, and we want to define this first section. So we click on define and come over here to the work plane that we're going to sketch the first profile on, the first section on. Select that sketch, click OK, and we're now in the sketching mode, ready to start sketching. Now, if we just have a quick look back at our drawing, we can see that the top view indicates that it is a symmetrical object, so it's worth our while putting in some center lines first and then working our way about from that. So back to Creo, center lines, click once, twice, and then use your rectangle tool. There is another cool sort of rectangle tool that you can use here rather than corner rectangle. I just found out there's one called center rectangle as well. Just to mix it up, center rectangle, click the intersection of the axes, and as you draw it out, obviously you can see there's the rectangle appearing. So we're going to try to get that as square as we can. Actually, I think it might be square there, I'm not too sure. Hit select. It has two, look at that, it's gone square for us. And we'll pull that up there, and I think it was from memory 100. So 100. Square. Now, interesting enough here, the start point has started over in the top right hand corner here. We might need to pay some attention to that a little bit later on. So there's the start of our first section. I won't say it's complete yet because we've now got to draw in the second section, which is a circle this time rather than being a straight line figure. Now, the rule to the blend tool working, as when you're in the modelling or in the sheet metal application, is that you can only blend between sections that have the same number of edges. So at the moment, obviously this square has 4 edges, but our circle is going to have 4 as well. In actual fact, what we're going to do, we need to give this profile of the sketch here more than 4 edges. We actually need to give it little fillets on each of the corners here to represent where it will actually be bent. In reality, nothing ever gets folded perfectly to a corner. It would need to be filleted, or would need to have a slight radius on the corners there. So while we've still got this profile up, this section up, come up to the fillet tool up here, and then move your cursor towards the end of one line, click once, move it towards the end of the other one, click again. And you'll notice that it automatically fillets that off. Before I go any further though, I should lock this 100mm so that it doesn't move. So I'm just going to dart out of fillet, back to there, select my 100mm, right click, hold it down and click on lock. I guarantee it's not going to move then. Okay, back to my fillet tool and continue the same process. End of one line, end of the other. Around we go, like so. Now, to make all those fillets the same size, you could individually select each one of them and make them all the same size, but we're going to do a more geometrically constraint correct way, I suppose, is we're going to change one of them to 2mm And then we're going to use our constraints boxes up here. And you can see in the constraints box we have a equals constraint. So select the equals, click onto it. Click on the first constraint that you want all the others to follow. And then work your way around, wait for it to highlight, and you'll see it turns into E1, 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 and E1. Now they're all locked to 2 and they're all locked to the same constraint. Okay, now we've got 8 separate edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in total, which means that the next section we draw must also have 8, otherwise it won't work. So we accept that section, come back to our sections tab. Section 2 is waiting to be sketched, so we click on sketch, and we come once again to our centerline tool. Put center lines in. I don't think they're there already, although I can see a shadow over there. And then we're ready to draw the circle. Now obviously we can't have an 8-sided circle, so what I found is probably the easiest thing to do is to pretend that this circle is actually a square first, and then we're going to fillet the edges to give them very large radiuses. So keeping that in mind, it's a diameter of 65, which means it would be a square also of 65. So back to Creo, rectangle tool again, from the center, and select diameter of 65. At this point it's important to lock that dimension, and now we can use the fillet tool again. And we repeat that same process. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first fillet is going to be almost the entire quadrant here. So I think that was, what was our distance before? 64, was that right? I've forgotten already. 65. So we need to make that roughly, what's that, 32 would probably be the maximum we could probably get out of that. So back to Creo. It goes back to Creo, there it is. And using your select tool, change this first fillet to 32. And you can see there it almost, bar a little section, both sides, almost creates a perfect quadrant. Now in reality, that's probably as close as it's going to get when something gets folded up to this shape anyway. So 32 it is there, and now use your equals tool. Well, first of all I might select that and lock it. Then use your equals constraint. Click on the 32 and click on the other ones as well. Now you can see we've got a much better looking profile. Now what does concern me though still is this arrow, its position. We'll soon see in a second whether it's going to work or not. So we've now got 8 pieces or 8 sides. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 corresponding sides or edges on the other profile should be right to go. Okay, now we can see here it's just defaulted to the the blend, and it's twisted it. So we've got to go back and we've got to edit the start point. So if we just go back to the first section and edit, I notice the start point is in the top right corner facing left. I might start mine in the top left corner facing right, so I'm just going to check that point, right click onto it, start point. If it's facing the wrong way, check it, right click on it, and start point, and reverses it. Oh, okay, it's interesting. Try that again. So click onto it to highlight it, right click. Okay, well that's new, that's not it's not being very helpful. In that case I'm going to check the other profile, see if I can make it match this one. Click OK to that, back to my section, back onto the sketch tool, and the corresponding one would be this one here. So I'm going to select that point, right click, start point, and that should be good. That's it there. Okay, click OK. Looking much better indeed. Okay, and something else we should probably look at is that Under options, you can have either straight surfaces or smooth. If I click on straight, it will give a different appearance to these panels, so always click on smooth. And that's probably enough of it there. 1mm wall thickness, and of course the height. So the height I think was 70mm, so we will make sure that's 70mm for the actual height. And if we spin it around, looks pretty good, and we check OK. Okay, so that's the blend done. Now we can rip it down one of its edges, and then we can fold it out like we did with our previous question. So just to recap the rip, we want to do a sketch rip, and we want to click onto the surface that we're going to draw a line to represent the rip or the cutting edge. So I'm going to click on my base here, line tool, click once, make sure it goes right through the center, past the object, center mouse button to finish, and click OK. Yes, that looks good, and click green. We can see there it's actually ripped it. Two separate panels, 1, 2, fabulous. And then the last thing to do, of course, is to flatten that out. So flat flatten, and yes, and then we can make ourselves that development view again. So remember, we need to create a new view so we can look down on this at 90 degrees. So we go to View tab, Named Views, Reorient. It's asking us for a front view, so I'm going to select this panel here. And then it's asking us for my top view, which has to be 90 degrees to it. So I'm just going to select this little square here, which is 90 degrees to that one. It spins it around, I'm going to fit it. And then we need to make sure that we give it a name and save that view. Oops, development. And save. And OK. Good, and now we're ready to probably start the drawing, or probably should save this as a 3D first as well. So while we're there, let's save that to start with once, and then we'll do another file, save it as a 3D object. So I'm going to save a copy, and we'll call it circle underscore square underscore 1 3D underscore 3D. OK to that. OK to that. And using the file open, let's open that up. There it is there, circle square 1 underscore 3D. And what we'll simply do is then just delete that pattern. Remember, we're doing this so that we can have the finished object and also the development on the single page. So we come up the top here, we can see we've got two parts which are now active, and the last thing to do then is to create our drawing. So same as we did last time, file, new, this time we're drawing, what's it called again, square underscore circle, or was the other way around? Oh, well, either way, underscore 1. OK to that. Empty with format, find the King's detailed drawing format. OK. Modelled by you. Drawing number 1. Grade 12. Material sheet. And now we obviously need to see what drawing models are open. So click on drawing models. Click on add model. And we want to open up. We're going to add both of these parts, so with a circle square 1, it's interesting, and add model again, circle square 1 3D. Then we can go to set model, and you can see we've got the two of them here ready to be selected from. Might just need to move that box over a little bit, make it a little bit wider so I can see which one's which. A little bit of error or something going on my program here. So I'm going to bring in first of all the development. And done. Right click, insert general view, or I could have clicked general view up here. OK, left click again, development, make it take up as much as the page as we want, probably I'd say 0.5, and apply, probably even bigger, might go 0.6. Obviously, if you were using this for cutting out purposes, you'd want to print on a larger paper, full size. The view display hidden is okay, and we want to change the tangent edges to be center lines. Apply. There's all our fold lines, and that's looking okay. Now we'll bring in the 3D, so therefore it's drawing models, set model, 3D one, done return, right click, insert general view, okay, left click, and that's the view that we want. Looks a bit big, might just change that scale back to the same scale as the other one, 0.6, my memory serves me correctly, and that's looking pretty good. We'll just turn the planes off, zoom in, close that, zoom in, zoom out. Probably could be a little bit bigger, but I'll let you decide how big that should be on the page. Once you've got your development and your 3D finished product there, you can see there's the join going down the edge. We can then just do a file, save as a PDF, hover over save as, quick export PDF, off it goes, creates the PDF. And there we are. Fabulous.